Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. Earlier today, I did a 3-hour gaming stream of Mirror's Edge Catalyst, and the interesting thing about it is that I was able to read the chat. Well, how did I do that? What was I doing? Why did I keep mentioning the YouTube API? What was really going on that made me able to read the chat despite being blind? Well, that's what this video is about. I'm gonna show you guys how to use a tool that I wrote that I probably won't release for reasons that I will explain at the end of the video, but nonetheless, it's a really useful tool, and it solves a problem that's very personal to me, and that is how to read YouTube livestream chat through text-to-speech. So, we're in our terminal right now, and I'm going to show you guys around how the tool works. So I'm actually going to need to zoom in more than I have the font size set to because reasons. But first things first. If you're on a Linux system like at all, you are most likely going to have something called dbus on it. And dbus is what's used for basically a lot of your programs and your desktop environment and everything to communicate with each other in a way that's programming language agnostic and that doesn't require using the network, like TCP and IP and stuff like that. dbus is amazing, and it's also one of the ways my Stream Deck is working right now, and to be clear, I mean Stream Deck, not Steam Deck, don't get that confused. Stream Deck is the thing with all the buttons on it that light up, and then you press them and they do things like start recording a video. On Linux, part of that is going to involve dbus to actually wake up a service that controls the Stream Deck. And in my case, what I have is my own dbus service that I wrote called Stream Chat Monitor. And if I go to /opt/acidic light, which is starting to become my favorite folder on my computer right now, we have a folder in here called Stream Chat Monitor. And under that folder, we're going to have two folders. We have Stream Chat CTL and Stream Chat D. Stream Chat D is the dbus service that this all works under. These are all binaries, and I can't access it because I typed it wrong. Okay, if I go into Stream Chat D and list the contents of it, we're gonna see a whole bunch of .NET framework stuff. That's because this is all written in .NET framework, and that's just or .NET 8 and C#, that's just who I am. But, you know, it's all in this folder right here, Stream Chat CTL, and then, again, it's all .NET. So you can actually do dbus in .NET, which is really cool. I didn't think I could, but it turns out you can. But the fact that it's written in .NET is actually not really irrelevant. It's just the tool I decided to use. Something is really messed up with my prompt. Oh, it's because I'm that zoomed in. Okay. Alright. Alright. So, these are all .NET binaries. And then what I have is, I have a symlink in USR bin stream chat CTL. And that's going to point... I don't think that actually listed the symlink. Okay, that's going to point to /opt/acidic light /stream chat monitor /stream chat CTL /stream chat monitor, which is a .NET binary. So that allows me to have access to the stream chat CTL command, which if I run it, not stream CTL, if I run it, I just get immediately a usage prompt that basically tells me all of the commands that it supports. Not all of these are supported right now, but the ones that are, the very first one that's important is Stream Chat CTL list events, which lists all scheduled or active live broadcasts on your YouTube channel, provided you're signed into it. And it will automatically deal with the signing in process. I'm already signed in, so it's not going to prompt me. But if I do Stream Chat CTL list events, it's going to take a bit to query the YouTube API, and it's going to say no events to show. That's because I don't have any pending live streams. But if I pop over to OBS and bring that up, then I can go into manage broadcasts, and I can do this completely without touching the YouTube studio, which is awesome. But that's OBS is doing. You're gonna have to deal with the weird psychedelic effect in the background. I apologize, but let's remember these settings, and the title. Tomorrow we're gonna be playing Mirror's Edge Catalyst, so finally on to the story. Okay, and I'd put in my stream description and stuff like that, so after hours of struggling to get through the game's tutorial missions, it's time to finally start actually playing the game's story. Let's see if we can get to the first grid node mission in the Anchor District. Okay, cool. And then obviously there's the support me, and then Patreon link, stalk me, which would be, and I've been told that I keep making a typo in this link, so mastodon.social/@acidic light as opposed to just /acidic light. So there we go. And yeah, so there's my description, and then privacy, obviously public, category, gaming, and no with the amount that I swear it is not made for kids. Thumbnail, I don't have any to put. And latency normal. Enable DVR. 360 video, obviously we don't need that. Schedule for later. And then we won't enable auto start, I don't think, but this is where I would put in the time that I would want to start the stream, so tomorrow. And then I want to start it at 1:30 p.m. is when I want to start it. By the way, you guys should come hang around at 1:30 p.m. tomorrow. And then we click this, we don't say schedule and start. No, it's schedule and select broadcast. Okay, so I believe if I hit schedule broadcast, that dialog should close. Okay, event created successfully. Awesome. So the event exists on YouTube now. So I should be able to pop back over to my terminal and do that same command with list events. And there we go. We have one event, and it's got an ID, and there's the title that I put in. So we copy this ID, and if I do stream chat CTL monitor and then paste in the ID, that's going to tell the dbus daemon, hey, this YouTube live event, I want you to monitor it and read the chat to me. So then there's a button on my Stream Deck that if I press it, it's going to run this command, stream chat CTL get unread 30. And what that's going to do is it's going to print the up to the last 30 unread chat messages, which right now should be, well, nothing. So you get no unread messages. And if I pipe this over to eSpeak, which is a command that I use a lot, what it will do is it will...
No unread messages.
No unread messages. Let's actually hop over to YouTube, and theoretically we should be able to hop over to that stream in my YouTube studio, and I'm gonna try not to leak anything, but we should be able to go into YouTube Studio here. And we go content. We go up here to live. And then there's the stream for tomorrow. And if I go into the broadcast screen for you know, interacting with the stream from the back end, we'll see the live chat right here. And I should be able to say something in the chat. Yes, I scheduled this way too early. So I have now said something in the chat, and if I hit that button on my Stream Deck, it's going to run the same command we had in the terminal. And...
Acidic Light says, yes, I scheduled this way too early.
Yes, I scheduled this way too early. So it was able to pick up that chat message and read it out loud with a single button pressed on my Stream Deck. All it took was me creating the live event and then telling my dbus service, StreamChatD, to start monitoring the chat. Now, to be clear, this does not do a live monitor, because doing a live monitor is functionally impossible on YouTube's API, because YouTube decided to put a quota on how often you can call the live chat API. I can probably imagine why, probably related to spam bots and stuff like that, but, you know, I'm not a spam bot. I'm just a blind guy trying to read the chat. So, you know, Google, can I have a way to get rid of that quota, please? But, because that's functionally impossible for me to do without running up a quota, and according to Matt Casey, who did something similar, he was only able to stream for 2 hours with the chat live polling every 2 seconds before he hit his daily quota. In my case, what I decided to do is, instead of polling the chat, it only pulls when I hit the button. So, when I hit the button, there's going to be a delay.
No unread messages.
And it's going to say no unread messages. That delay is it going out to Google and saying, hey, is there anything new? Okay. Alright, there's none. No unread messages. But I haven't had to use this on today's stream, but I suspect I might have to at some point. But I have another feature in the command, and this one is streamchatctl get last, and then the number of messages I want to get. And instead of this just getting messages that have been unread, the daemon, every time it asks YouTube for messages, it logs them in memory. And it will mark them as read once I've actually read them, but I can go back into the history. And it will query YouTube for more, but as you can see, right here it says Acidic Light says, yes, I scheduled this way too early, and it's just in the logs on my computer waiting for me to read it, so I can hit this as many times as I want. Well, I don't want to hit it too often, because it does go out to the YouTube API, and every now and then it will actually ask Google for a new API token, but that's what those delays are. I have to figure that out. But this is really handy, because it allows me to basically do the blind equivalent of looking over at the chat every now and then and being able to read it. That is genuinely amazing, and I'm really glad that I was able to get it working the way that I needed it to. So let's actually look at the code. So, we have to be careful. We have to tread lightly, because this is the part where I show you guys why I cannot release this. At least, not that I know of. So if I go back home, go to project, Rider projects, because it's stored under there. Stream chat monitor. We list the contents of this directory. We have 4 .NET projects. We have Stream Chat Monitor, stream.monitor.daemon, and stream.monitor.data. Stream.monitor.data we won't look at because that's just a bunch of shared stuff between the two programs, the command line and the daemon. But if I look at stream.monitor and look at the program.cs, this is going to be the front end to it. So this is the actual command line interface, and it's really nothing too impressive. In fact, it's probably one of the worst ways to implement a command line program with arguments possible, but it does work, and you can see, I'm not going to read any of this code, and you might struggle to read it at this font size, but maybe you won't, and there's stuff that's cut out as well, but you can probably tell what's going on. It's basically just communicating with the dbus daemon and having it do stuff on behalf of the command line. So the command line is really nothing. It's just a command line. The real magic is in stream.monitor.daemon. And specifically under dbus, we have chatmonitor.api.cs. This is the dbus service. So, what do we have? First of all, we have a logger, because of course we have a logger. We have YouTube, which we're not going to go in the YouTube class. I'm not going to show you guys that code. There's a client secret in it. That's a problem. I don't want people logging in their Google accounts using a leaked client secret. I don't want to do that. Anyway, then we have this live event, current event, or current event ID. A live event just being the daemon's representation of a YouTube live stream. Then we have a list of chat messages for the message history. And then we have the next page token, that's just part of the YouTube API. And then we have our constructor, which just sets everything up. We get our YouTube, we get our log, boom, 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 awesome. And then we have an object path. This is a dbus thing. And we're not gonna look at the dbus thing, because the dbus thing is dbus. And, okay, so, we have this Ritchie async. This was just me testing the dbus, stuff, so we won't worry about the Ritchie thing. We don't actually need it. It's just there for testing, to make sure that it can actually communicate between the daemon and the client. All it does is say one of my signature lines. You know, that. Anyway, next we have get live events async, and this just asks YouTube to give me a list of my live events. Pretty simple. It's a one-liner. Of course, the actual magic is in the YouTube class. Then we have public async task bool start monitoring live event, and it takes in a live event. It's also async, and what it does is it finds all of the live events on my account and makes sure that the live event I'm giving it is actually one that exists. It's kind of why it's a little slow. And then, if it does exist, then it clears out the message history, it clears out the next page token, all that stuff, and it basically sets up the current event ID to be that new live event, and then it logs to let me know that I've actually started monitoring, and it returns true. So that makes sure that if I pass in a live event to that dbus call, I'm not passing in something fake or that I don't have access to. I will always have access to it, otherwise it will error out and return false. Then we have the same thing but for stopping. And once again, we also clear the message history and all that stuff. The reason we do that is because if I'm switching streams, then I don't want to be reading chat from a different stream. Okay, so next we have get is monitoring live. All that does is check if we're monitoring the live stream. That's all that does. And then we have the get current live event async. This just gets the current live event that we're monitoring, if any. Which, you know, that is how that works. Then the interesting part. All of this code. This is the code that makes the actual chat history possible. So, it's pretty nasty. What we have is publicly sync test. Hat message array. Get most recent messages async. Int maximum number. Bool include already read. That was a mouthful. And then first thing we do. If we're not monitoring a live stream, we return an empty array because we don't have a hat. If we are monitoring a live stream, I don't know why this is monitoring twice. I found a bug in the program. That's amazing. Okay, I don't know why it's figuring that out twice. The first one that it does is it checks if we're monitoring locally. And then next it checks if we're monitoring, but according to the YouTube API. Or no, it shouldn't. These two are redundant. Okay, these two if statements are completely redundant. Never mind them. Okay. Then we check the maximum number. If it's below 1, we return an empty array because it's impossible to have a zero length... Or it's impossible to have a negative length of array, and, actually, why does this say argument out of range? Just to return an empty array and yell at you. Anyway, this is some cursed shit right here. We have, in parentheses, string nullable, next token, hat message array, new messages, out of parentheses, equals, await youtube.getHatMessages. Not async, but it is async. Current event ID dot value. Next page token. So, a weird thing about the way the YouTube chat system works is when you first call it through the API, you get a full history, or at least as much history as it decides to retain, of the live stream. But if you call it again, you're gonna get that same thing. You're gonna get all the same messages all over again. That's why what the API does is it returns something called a next page token. And when you get that next page token, you're supposed to send it along with your next request for a batch of chat messages, and that tells it to skip the messages that it has already sent you. And that's what this is doing. So we're returning... so not only are we getting an array of chat messages, but in this tuple, we're getting this next token, and we're just keeping track of that for later. And then this next page token ends up being that next token. So this allows me to, every time I hit the Stream Deck button, I only get new messages. Anyway, after we get the messages from YouTube, we add them to the message history. Cool. Awesome. Then the annoying part. First, we get this filtered list of messages, which is going to be an array. And this is going to depend on if we include already read messages. If we do, then the filtered message list is just the message history. If we don't, then we only grab ones that are not marked as read, and when we do grab them, we mark them as read. And then we get that as an array. So that's part one, and if the filtered length, or the filtered messages list, has a length that's less than the maximum number of messages, then we just return it, because, you know, it's a maximum number. And the array has less contents than the maximum number. Anyway, after that, if we get this far, we return the filtered message, but we skip the entire length of this filtered array minus the maximum number. So this gets you the last maximum number of messages as an array. And then boom, it's all done. And then the mark as read thing is probably why it's kinda slow, along with the calls to the YouTube API. But all this does is it takes in a chat message, and if the message is read, then it just returns the message. Otherwise, it sets the message as read, and then it goes ahead and finds it in the message array. It's probably a better way to do this, but and there is definitely a better way to do this. I would use a dictionary lookup for the ID of the message. But anyway, because I haven't done that, we loop through the entire message array in reverse order, And that is also another optimization I did, because if I loop through from the start of the array, well, I'm most likely gonna be marking messages as read that have just been appended to the end of the array, so I'd have to search through all these older messages to get to the newer message, and why waste that time? So I iterate in reverse. Anyway, once I reach the message in the list that matches the same ID, I overwrite that in the array, or in the list, and then I break. And I just return the newly marked as read message. And it's really simple. This is the bulk of what's going on. All the rest of the stuff is just facilitating dbus and connecting to Google's API, and you don't need to see that stuff. The important part is in that chat monitor API, and what that lets me do is
Acidic Light says, yes, I scheduled this way too early.
Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. Anyway, that's a little tour of the YouTube chat monitor program that I wrote for being able to read the chat despite being blind. I hope you guys learned something. I won't be releasing this unless there's a way to authenticate with the Google API without using a client secret. There should be, because OBS lets you log into your YouTube account, and that's desktop app. I don't know where they're storing the client secret for OBS Studio, but I would hope that it's not in the source code, and not in the binary, but I don't know how to do that just yet. We'll probably have to look at the OBS code to see how it's done. But anyway, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. I have a Michael, even though everyone calls me Richie. If you want to support what I do, there's the Patreon link in the description below. I hope to see you guys at the next Mirror's Edge Catalyst stream tomorrow. I'm probably going to be streaming it every Monday and Tuesday using this program. And yeah, I'm very tired. It's late. Today was a very tough stream if you guys were there. I'm still exhausted from it. And there's a storm coming, so I have a headache. But I'm going to end the video off, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.